Hello everyone, and welcome back to another very nice chess game from the history of chess. And this chess game is from 1953. And this is one of the chess games of Mikhail Tal. Before he became the world chess champion, he became the champion in 1960. So in this chess game, his opponent is Isaak Birbrager, who was the Uzbekistani chess champion, and he's playing with the white pieces, and Mikhail Tal has the black pieces. So let's see what happened in this chess game. Birbrager starts the game with pushing the d-pawn, knight to f6, c4, c5. And this is the Benoni defense by Tal, d5, e6, knight to c3, exchanging the pawns, d6, and pushing the e-pawn. Well, Mikhail Tal pushed the g-pawn, he is going to fianchetto his bishop, and then developing the pieces, and both players castled. Knight to a6, but Birbrager of course didn't want to give up his light square bishop. Knight back, knight in, defending the bishop. Centralizing the rook, targeting the weak pawn. Giving the knight the boots. Knight back, and centralizing the rook. Knight back, queen up, rook over, a4. Not allowing b5, b6, knight to b5, a6, exchanging the knights, and for a Tal game it started pretty innocent, isn't it? It looks innocent so far. Rook to a2, lifting the rook, queen to e7, and Mikhail Tal is targeting the weak e-pawn but simply defending and cementing the pawn structure. But now knight to h5, maybe knight can go to f4, also attacking the bishop, so knight back, also bishop is defending, so Mikhail Tal wants to blast open the center, he pushed to f-pawn. So if capturing the pawn, then bishop takes on f5, also attacking the queen, and the d-pawn is weak. So bishop to d3, extra defense, but now pushing the pawn by Mikhail Tal. And in the king side, grabbing more space. g4, attacking the knight. First Mikhail Tal is checking the king after king to h1. Well, in this position Tal is not defending the knight, and he played queen to h4 and he is attacking the rook. So we have rook to e2. Well, obviously if capturing the knight, then capturing the rook, and this is losing for white. So we can't even say that this was a sacrifice by Mikhail Tal, so we have rook to e2, defending the rook, but now this time queen to h3 by Tal, and we can also say that Mikhail Tal's queen is pretty dangerously too close to the king. And in this position he is threatening checkmate, queen takes knight, checkmate. So if accepting the sacrifice, then queen takes knight, checkmate. So rook to g2, blocking the queen. And this time Tal is not attacking anything, so maybe defending the knight comes to mind. Tal didn't. He captured the pawn, queen takes on f3 and sacrificing the knight. And now Birbrager is attacking the queen, knight to d2. But what happens if capturing the knight? Well, bishop in is also pretty dangerous for white, but first rook takes on e4. And if bishop takes rook, then queen takes knight, checkmate. After blocking with the rook, queen takes rook, checkmate. The bishop is supporting, so that is going to be a deflection move. So you can't capture the rook with the bishop. So if something like b3 and then rook to e1, so you can see that this is very dangerous for white. In this position, after rook takes on e4, black has many attacking opportunities. Also the bishop is going to get in, the rook is pinned. Well, okay, black sacrificed a piece, but black has many attacking chances. So in this position, Mikhail Tal captured the pawn, sacrificing the knight, and because of that, Birbrager didn't want to accept Mikhail Tal's sacrifice offer. Attacking the queen, defending. Attacking the queen again, defending. Attacking the queen, maybe repeating the moves comes to mind. And then drawing the game. And against Mikhail Tal, maybe that's not too bad. What would you do? Well, if repeating the moves, that is going to be a drop. By threefold repetition, what would you do in this position? Well, in this position, Mikhail Tal sacrificed his queen. Incredible. If you ask these moves to Stockfish and some chess engine, they are definitely going to tell you that Mikhail Tal is losing. Black is losing. But again, you have to defend against yourself. You have to defend yourself against Mikhail Tal precisely, correctly. So you can also defend Mikhail Tal's constant threats for, let's say, 3 times in a row. But at the 4th time, let's say, if you make a mistake, bang, it's over. One mistake and it is over. If you make one mistake, you are going to lose. So not just accepting the sacrifice is important, but to be able to defend yourself precisely after taking that piece is also important. So if you can do that, you are definitely going to defeat Mikhail Tal. So the queen sacrifice was accepted. Knight takes on f3. Bishop takes on f3. The rook is pinned. Okay, maybe Mikhail Tal has enough compensation. But now Birbrager was afraid and he pushed the h-pawn, so he doesn't want rook up, rook to e5, and then rook over to g5 and attacking. Tal played rook to f8, bishop to e2, asking a question, but bishop to e2 was actually a big mistake. In this position, something like rook to a3 and then bishop to d2 would be much more solid. But we have bishop to e2 and Mikhail Tal is checking the king. After king to h2, he captured the rook. King takes bishop and then bang. Knight takes on e2. And for the queen, Mikhail Tal has actually the rook, the knight, and 2 pawns. So Mikhail Tal is immediately getting back the compensation. He has very good compensation and getting back the material. So we can say that Birbrager immediately ruined this. He could not defend it himself precisely against Mikhail Tal. Again, rook to a3 and then bishop to d2 would be much more convenient, but he made a mistake. He cracked under the pressure. So after knight takes on e2, queen takes on e2, but then f3 by Mikhail Tal. He did a magic trick. He pulled a rabbit from the hat, forking the king and the queen. So queen takes, rook takes, king takes on f3, rook check, king over, bishop check, king to g2, and then bishop to f4, and Birbrager resigned. Incredible, isn't it? How does he do that? Amazing. It was just a magic trick. This is why they called Mikhail Tal the magician from Riga. And the possible continuation is actually pretty obvious. So Mikhail Tal is a pawn up, but he's also going to get one more pawn. So he's threatening to take the bishop. If rook back, bishop takes bishop, rook takes bishop, and then rook to f4, attacking both of the pawns, and there is no defense. And if bishop takes on f4, then rook takes on f4, and you can't defend both of them. And if e5, creating a passed pawn, simply capturing d6, rook to d4. And this is also losing. Okay, so this was a pretty exciting chess game of Mikhail Tal, but of course Birbrager could not handle himself perfectly against Mikhail Tal. This is why he lost this chess game pretty badly. Not just accepting the Mikhail Tal's sacrifice is enough, but to be able to defend yourself precisely against those attacks, against the constant threats of Mikhail Tal after sacrificing that piece is very important. Because when Mikhail Tal sacrifices those pieces, he is creating weaknesses in his opponent's camp, like damaging the pawn cover in front of the king, or creating deadly, vicious open files. Things like that. You know, creating weakness in the king side. Stuff like that. And you have to defend yourself correctly. You can defend yourself, by the way, let's say 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a row against Tal's attacks, but one mistake, bang, it's over. So that's actually the summary of most of the chess games of Tal. And thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care and bye bye.